Order, unity, obedience. We taught the galaxy these things long ago, and we will do so again. The Infinite Empire encompasses vast outposts of kingdoms across the void. Salvation and sanctuary for my people, as we waited for the aliens to rend themselves limb from limb. We have long awaited the time to once more fell the lesser species, fighting over the scraps of what remains of this galaxy. For it is time to attempt to explain the inner workings of the bastions of the Necrons. For even by forewarning you with such information, we shall delight in your futile attempts to comprehend and hope to resist them. The domains of the unconquerable. The Tomb Worlds. During the 60 million year great sleep of the Necrons, my people required safe and secluded worlds to lay dormant until our reclamation of the stars could begin, once again in earnest. A combination of ancient Necron-tier settlements, Tomb Worlds do not require a thriving ecosystem, and as such are perfectly adapted to be buried under the surface of long-dead worlds. Such barren planetoids do not entice the living mortals due to their lack of resources or harvestable organisms, and as such are ignored by aliens such as the humans, Tau, or even savage orcs. Cleansed of life during the red harvests of the Infinite Empire, only the most peculiar of factions seek to unearth secrets from beneath such sterile worlds. Exploratory teams delving too deep into such tomb worlds are inevitably naive as to the contents of such ancient ruins, and incur the wrath of their defenders. The meddling Mechanicus of Mars among the first to uncover such caverns. Should they delve too deeply and best the first layers of defense of a tomb world, greater threats shall combat such interlopers as they approach closer to the stasis units of the reigning Necron Lord entombed within their Blackstone sarcophagus. No tomb world is the same, nor do they follow a template pertaining to an ideal purpose. Commanded by their Platinum Lord within its core, each tomb world's military deployment methods, infrastructure, and even architecture are defined by its ruler. Millions are seeded throughout the galaxy, and with the rebirth of each quiescent fiefdom, they shall each in turn aid their might to the glory of the Necron dynasty's resurgence. The true extent of the amount of tomb worlds, known only to a few select nobles of the Infinite Empire. Even I, to my shame, do not know the full extent of how many tomb worlds are among the stars. Often colonized by unwitting species, such as the humans, it is a truly hubristic thing for such lesser creatures to dare sully the soil of a tomb world, and for their ignorance, they shall incur reprisal, as my people when roused, once more cleanse their planet of detritus. Though it is worth stating that there is a hierarchy of value and prestige among the tomb worlds, due to their providence and past glories. Crown worlds are the most significant of the tomb worlds, each one a proud symbol of the Infinite Empire's past, as the epicenters of galactic power prior to the Great Sleep. Storing the vast wealth of the Necrons' knowledge, resources, and finest technologies, the Crown Worlds have weathered the hibernation of our species with the greatest success. Core Worlds are the beating heart of the Infinite Empire, and though not as prestigious as Crown Worlds, each ruler of such a tomb world is a close relative to the regent of their respective Crown World. Though bereft of the majesty of their betters, each core world houses vast armies to defend the Necron species and is essential for the defense and prosperity of our people. Fringe worlds are the lowest rung of the hierarchy of the tomb worlds, often befitting such a status due to their long distance from the nearest core world or lack of notable ruler. More alike to a penal institution or hub for laborers, little of worth can be derived from such worlds, other than the sheer number of vassals to be subsumed by their nearest core world. The inner workings of the tomb worlds are complex and difficult to understand to a primitive such as yourself, but I shall endeavor to help your simple mind comprehend the basics. Through use of interdimensional geometry, my people were able to construct vast interiors to what might otherwise seem a smaller exterior. Storing vast repositories of weapons and soldiers within temporal stabilizers to prevent their weathering with time, once a tomb world is reactivated, Canoptek scarabs and spiders are the first to awaken to tend to the tomb's needs. Necron warriors are next to arise as they conduct reconnaissance patrols of the surface and relay information back to the tomb's automated systems to assess the optimal course of action. Awakening machineries and weapon systems befitting the circumstance of the tomb world's defense or expansion, with the Necron Lord of the Tomb's ascension, they shall form artificial personalities to better tend to the needs of their tomb world whilst independently dealing with their other responsibilities. Acting with extreme aggression, should such tomb worlds be awakened due to the intrusion of species such as the humans, the tomb worlds rapidly deploy countermeasures to exterminate any foolish enough to disturb their slumber. Such countermeasures, known as the Harvest, any and all resources within the tomb world shall be used to annihilate the trespassers upon their rightful domain of genocidal proportions. Causality is our strength, for with only a few select individuals within each tomb world retaining sentient thought, much of such actions are preordained, and as such follow a chain of events to facilitate compliance. Overseen by the nodal command of each tomb world, the strict hierarchy of each lesser node of the command structure is given greater operation autonomy as such a harvest progresses. Necron overlords under the command of their liege encompass such nodes, such as your meager understanding that a simple color coding analogy is used by your Mechanicus to help your understanding. 4 levels noted by your kind as Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum work in ascending command priority. Put simply, for your sake, if a Gold Necron Lord wishes to disseminate information, it shall be broadcast to all lesser Bronze and Silver nodes, slave to their command. Allowing for streamlined coordination of reports and data, your Imperium has never studied what you deem as a Platinum level overlord, due to their influence being of a status capable of commanding entire fleets of the Infinite Empire. Should a tomb world have difficulty repelling the advance of particularly stubborn invaders, they shall conduct operations of escalation protocols. Withdrawing its forces into the heart of its core, extended nodal commands shall be put in place. Exhausting their initial deployments of warriors, destroyers, and wraiths from the front line, with continued resistance, the Necron Lord shall assume the nodal commands to deal with such threats personally. Exponentially raising their threat countermeasures, usually when faced with enemies of immense reinforcement and durability, the Infinite Empire utilizes methods in excess of any spacefaring civilization ever encountered. Monolith armadas unleash hordes of Necron warriors, aided by immortals in waves. Flayed ones and wraiths terrorize civilian populaces or menials upon the surface. Many artifacts and powerful warriors still lie dormant, never seen by the eyes of mortals, for the Infinite Empire has not deemed such resources necessary to deploy, due to such threats not escalating to such a need. Each phase of the automated systems divided into several protocols, the first of which is known as the Primary Awakeners. Second are the Raider Forces, which then escalate into the Reserve Command, overseen by the Necron Lords of the Tomb World, deemed as Silver in their command role. Line formations are led by a total of 4 Bronze-level Necron Lords, consisting of the wide varieties of combatants, aided by the monoliths. Priority Command is the mightiest structure observed by the Imperium of Man, overseen by a Gold Priority Necron Lord. Deploying Tombstalkers, aerial support, Voidcraft, and on rare occasions pariahs, humanity trembled before such onslaughts with only the merest glimpse of our full power. Platinum level command is mere speculation to the dolts of the Imperium. For should they ever receive the full wrath of my people, they shall know only devastation, suffering, and likely, the extinction of their puny species. The most revered overlords of the Necron dynasties each hold dominion over a world of great renown, befitting their terrible and magnificent legacy. Chief among all crown worlds is the seat of power of the Infinite Empire, Mandragora. Domain of Imhotep the Stormlord, ruler of the Sautekh dynasty, Mandragora has been a symbol of the Necron's indomitable strength since the era of the War in Heaven. Its stasis crypts, filled with the finest warriors of the Necron dynasties, not a single crown world compares in their armaments and defensive systems. Emerging from the Great Sleep, despite the power struggle birthed from its resurgence, the Stormlord now rules as its undisputed pharaoh, seizing its preserved and pristine wealth. Ordering the Dolmen Gates to be reactivated with his revival, the Stormlord saw to the reclamation of the core worlds besieged by the Orc war boss, Snagratooth. Utterly destroying the Greenskins, Imhotep's forces further swelled to become the single most well-armed and numerous dynasty to currently grace the stars. For even Sarek, the Silent King, stalks the stars in secret, yet with fewer tomb worlds to call his own by dint of his clandestine efforts, it is unclear if any Necron ruler can match the sheer might of arms commanded by the Stormlord. Geden, the planet of shadow, is the crown world of the Nihilakh dynasty. With the reawakening of Geden, its faulty-dimensional stabilizer array saw to half its surface being phased into a pocket dimension, causing catastrophic damage. However, such a twist of fate proved to be immeasurably beneficial to the dynasty of Nihilakh, as their crown world is nigh impervious to any invasion. The Oracle Chamber deep within its core, imprisoning the severed head of an ancient alien prophet, the rulers of Geden utilize its psychic precognition whilst keeping the being alive, using stasis fields and temporal stabilizer technologies. Projecting its divinations as multifaceted holographic images, the decapitated ancient writhes in its containment and attempts to obfuscate its visions to mislead its captor and bring about the doom of the Nihilakh dynasty. Thanatos is the crown world crafted by the Oruskar dynasty, housing the celestial orrery within its heart. An artistic marvel in its own right, the combination of holographic images and living metal, crafted prior to the War in Heaven, projects an exact replica of the galaxy through unknown arcane arts. Within its holographic matrix, every celestial body known to the galaxy is illustrated. Yet most terribly of all its quirks is the ability for its owner to snuff out each star, while in real time extinguish the life of its material counterpart, causing its star to turn supernova. Unleashing oblivion within its respective system, the celestial orrery is among the most devastating tools of destruction known to existence. Yet its power is of such unthinkable proportions that each star suffocated of life upsets the balance of the galaxy. Setting off chain reactions of unknown and devastating effect, the Royal Court of Thanatos is careful in utilizing such a talisman of annihilation. Seeing themselves as the caretakers of existence, the Oruskar dynasty carefully prune the galaxy of overgrowth as they see fit in their attempts to tidy existence of rampant wilderness. During the War in Heaven, Zapinek, the Reeve world, would be the site of among the greatest battles to bring the conflict to a close. The crown world of the Sarnek dynasty, the royal fleet of Zapinek repelled the Eldari assault of the planet with innumerable voidcraft. Such was the destruction that Zapinek's orbit was clogged with the debris of the battle. Unable to clear the carnage from their planet's outer atmosphere, the Sarnek dynasty began their great sleep, protected by a coating of wraithbone and necrodermis, orbiting at speed around their tomb world. Reawakened by their infamous and ruthless outcast, Farsar the Invincible, exiled from the tomb world Aphanos he would seek to reclaim his former fiefdom. Obtaining the master control program of the planet's tomb mine, the Pirate King convinced the tomb mine that he was the rightful pharaoh of the Sarnek dynasty and claimed its resources for his own. Reprogramming the engrammatically encoded minds of the tomb world's slumbering subjects to bend to his will, those who had banished him long ago now served as his thralls. Transforming the once crown world into a Reeve world, Zarpanek now acts as an outpost for the Invincible's vast fleet of raiders to set loose upon the stars in order to pillage the galaxy as they please. The Bone Kingdom of Drazak is a blight upon the stars, as the once noble tomb world within the ghoul stars of the east draws the benighted flayed ones to its siren call. Presided over by Valgul, the fallen lord watches over his charnel kingdom of the deranged and insane, seemingly bereft of the curse of his subjects. Announcing times of bounty to raid nearby worlds for flesh, Valgul's reavers collect their fell plunder to feed their crazed people. Yet never shall their hunger be sated. Trantis, the raiders' moon, once a fringe world of no repute, was in its prior service subservient to the imperial world of Mandal. Descending upon the human mortals with the awakening of their node command protocols, the raiding parties of Trantis strike at night to claim their bounty from the world's settlements, harvesting entire towns in a single solar night. Though the mortals of the planet do not understand the reason nor culprit of their ever-dwindling numbers, with each passing night they shall be, as you would say, lambs to the slaughter. Unable to utilize its pillaged resources, Trantis stands alone without power to its dolmen gate, nor communication to its core world. The tomb world of Sarkon, ravaged by the radiation storms, lost all cognition of its dormant subjects, rendering them into mindless husks entombed deep within its core. Its tomb mind assuming command of its damaged forces, the world of Sarkon is now known as the Empire of the Severed. Ignorant of its own damaged logic systems, the tomb mind observed the obedient quietude of its subjects and concluded that other such tomb worlds must follow in its crazed image. Invading the tomb world of Takarak, the now self-styled Sarkoni Emperor unleashed its mindless armies to crush its adversary and subsumed its remaining forces into more puppets of its will. A further 3 tomb worlds have fallen under the sway of the broken tomb mind's rampage and aided in the expanse of the Sarkoni Empire. Now targeting worlds beyond the purview of the Infinite Empire, the Sarkoni Emperor deploys countless mind-shackle scarabs onto defending worlds to enslave mortal thralls under its dominion. The stasis docks of Sidon once lay at the heart of the Necrontyr Empire as their expanse across the stars began in earnest. A core world housing the first Necrontyr antimatter-fueled starships capable of traversing the stars. Throughout the war in heaven, Sidon continued its duty in diverting assets to the forefront of the now Necron war effort. Yet with the conclusion of the war in heaven and the 60 million year slumber of the Great Sleep complete, the stasis docks began a new venture. Under the command of Sidon's tomb mind, without the knowledge of its overlord, its programming incurred corruptions during the Great Sleep, leading to numerous losses of records and protocols. Launching ships to random locations due to such flaws in its damaged programming, while some craft endlessly roam the vast expanse of the void with no clear heading, others plunge directly into the heart of blazing stars or tendrils of the Great Devourer. Its failures unnoticed by its masters, the tomb mind continues to waste resources without any sign of relenting. The tomb world of Trakon, ruled over by the Divinok dynasty, also befell a rare instance of side effects from the Great Sleep. Its subjects disoriented for over 5,000 solar years, the inefficiencies of the Divinok dynasty drew the attention of its neighboring forge world of the Mechanicus. Besieged by the humans for many years, with the dynasty's eventual full control of their faculties, they would swiftly cast off the human invasion. Searching for the remaining tomb worlds of their dynasty, their efforts have been fruitless thus far, as their records have proven inaccurate in locating any Necron holdouts. Unbeknownst to Trakon, their familial tomb worlds have long been destroyed by warp storms thousands of years prior. As such, the nobles of Trakon of 10,000 spires continue their doomed quest to search for their kin. Last of note is the world of Zandragora, a tomb world built to function with a peculiar yet specific role. The nobles of the world seek to undo their transformation into living metal forms, and in doing so, experiment to find a means to transfer their consciousness into mortal bodies. Adhering to the final command of the Silent King, Sarek, with no direct instruction on how to achieve their reversal of biotransference, the rulers of Zandragora have taken measures into their own hands. Scouring the galaxy to capture live test subjects, hundreds of thousands of such samples have perished within the blood vats of Zandragora. Sealing both living and deceased bodies within stasis sleep, the autopsies, gene splicing, and molecular deconstructions by the nobles have gleaned few promising results. Yet time is no obstacle for the Infinite Empire, and as such the scientists of Zandragora take no urgency nor haste in their dissections and observations of such lesser species.
They will seek to harvest us at first, for they will be hungry after their long sleep. Then they will turn their efforts to enslaving the survivors. The galaxy will bleed the stench of death into the void, and it will attract the others of their kind. We must choose unity or death.
This has been a tale of the Infinite Empire, read by the Omniscient. Your Imperium is said to be vast beyond measure, encompassing million upon millions of planetoids, each with their own rabid inhabitants and societies. Yet even with all that power, with all those souls cast into the fire of war, you do not comprehend how little you pale in comparison to my people. For much of our strength remains dormant, ready to awaken new terrors upon your people. So by all means, resist while you can. Your time, like all the rest, will end, for we have ordained it.